Yeah. Booty round, big booty round, booty round, big booty round. Everywhere I go, gamers happy, even though gay journos big angry. No ESG, mean titty jiggly, and shift up, about to make more money. Western games made these bitches ugly, bling, bling, bling. Here to soothe the pain, to lift your veiny blade, the image of beauty. Outfits for my pretty waifu, talk shit and you'll get the knife. Controversy, sell more copies, now erect when I was floppy. Cleanse nativa, no survivors, plunge my healing deep inside her. Wham bam, thank you ma'am. Everybody say yeah.
Dear PlayStation, since my boyfriend got it, he's been totally ignoring me.
Okay. Oh. Okay, hold on.
Hello?
Thanks for coming.
Stellar Blade, rated M for mature. Hello, beta testers. Like, comment, and subscribe to join me for a state of play tomorrow for PlayStation. Isn't it ironic that The Witcher is the show where the casting director made it clear that the objective in choosing whom they did was, in their words, to challenge beauty standards. They, them didn't care if the role should go to a pretty woman. They were trying to break down established norms, social constructs, if you ask them, and establish a new normal. And because my eyes work and I can communicate with you using ugly, observe this image. This is woke. It's activism. It's not about ethnicity or woman. It's the necessity to avoid objectively attractive for the sake of agenda. Women do not look like men on average, so no amount of you shoving uglier women into the picture is going to make us suddenly like Meg or a man that you've put a wig on and say is a woman. Scared of what a real woman looks like? Everyone is noticing what a significant decrease there is in the amount of virtue signaling this year, especially when gamers love compiling images that offer contrast. Here's how hard they virtue signal in the West, as it contrasts how hard they don't virtue signal in the Middle East, because what really matters is money. Gearbox CEO Randy Pitchford and his studio are so mired in the cringe woke Western activism that they are proudly plastering indications on their profile immediately after implying that, quote, real fans, unquote, would find a way to buy them their games at whatever price. I remind you, this parallels the Saints Row handling of their own fans before the game launched. In the community manager's words,
I view this as an exercise in shedding some of the toxic fans, and we can start anew, better and free from shackles.
I'll stop here because only one type of identity entity is obsessed with terms like toxic, and they wave the same surgery scar body type AB flag that Gearbox is pandering to now. Yes, it's funny that suddenly the ugly Siri that fits the established new normal as decided by the woke West has suddenly been toned down, and probably because of fierce competition from the East. But you may think I'm exaggerating when I only really bring up the hundreds of millions of dollars made by Gacha every fucking month, the hundreds of millions of dollars that are wasted in these Western projects for shit that you end up saying things like, it's not that bad, it could be worse. I mean, that's what you're settling for. Good for you. I'm sorry that me being vocal has you and your preference for men that they're calling women is what I'm getting in the ray of your prize, you dirty bitch. So here's the competition, because you're probably not even going to see all of this in some of the shows coming up, but I'd like to remind you just to keep them on your mind. Vindictus, Defying Fate. Mecha Break. Stellar Blade and Shift Up's follow-ups, Stellar Blade 2 and Project Spirits. Azure Promelia, Phantom Blade 0, Ananta, Lies of P, Aeon 2, Wu Chang, Fallen Feathers, Tides of Annihilation, Hogwarts Legacy's sequel, Chrono Odyssey, Silver Palace, Crimson Desert. I'll leave it here considering many of the others I know might not be to most people's taste. They're more for me with my fantasy life kind of Hoyoverse follow-up in the Stardew vein kind of nonsense. I'm excited for Kingsmakers. I'm curious as to how they're going to ruin Halo when that launches on PS5. Gears Remake could be interesting. Naturally, GTA 6. A follow-up from Space Marines developer, the Warhammer recent game, and RoboCop's developers would be something that I have my eye on as well. But when I watch Keeley, I can't help but notice he's making his little highlight reels with Marathon and South of Midnight in there, you know? I had to look up a game, and it's called Directive 8020. You know, I had to look it up because nobody talks about it. This gaming shit is my bread and butter, but I couldn't remember yet another fucking game with, you know, let's run away from attractive protagonist, but we gotta make her female, we gotta make her black, you know what I mean? So we're doing this all over again. You can class me as a hater, but the longer it takes you to realize I'm telling the truth and representing a specific demographic of people who feel exactly like me that number in a capacity great enough to represent genuine loss in your product, the better. But you can't treat this like what it is, consultation, because you'd rather the sensitive types give you that consultation. You better pray we don't get to Doke V, boy. Jeff Keighley, he mixed up himself some silly little games, including but not limited to this upcoming Soros game that I've been telling you about. When people screeching for you to vote for who they prefer and telling you that you need DEI and you just better vote for Kamala. Brother, that's who this game is getting hyped. Pass.
Will tell you, don't tell me how to vote or whatever. And I've seen those comments obviously as well or whatever. I think the biggest thing, especially for this podcast and the conversation we're trying to have here, that I'm trying to lead here, I should say, more than we're trying to have, is that I'm not telling you who to vote for. I'm asking you to vote for Kamala Harris. Like, you can do whatever you want. And again, if you feel like you need to sit this out and that you don't want to be a part of this and you can't vote because of a single issue, I'm not going to tell you to vote for it. I'm going to ask you to vote for her and get over that, because I think this is race is too important, that there is too much on the line.
Dragon Age Veilguard, how the game director, Corinne Bush, she's a trans woman. And sometimes in games, you just put in your own sort of experiences. And that's so natural to happen. 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 And that's so natural to happen.
I act more like a man than a woman. I can't even be a woman, right? That means I don't feel like a man or a woman. They're not men or women. I'm going to use they instead of she from now. Use they instead of he or she. So I'm non-binary. Is it because I didn't fit as a woman? Is it why I don't fit as a woman? So I'm supposed to struggle with who I am? Even if I don't feel like I fit, even if I feel wrong? Dragons wouldn't have kings. They'd have queens. Non-binary. Feels right. When she says I act more like a man.
Oh my god.
It feels right.
Okay.
Why does it feel right?
Do you like being a woman?
Nobody likes being a woman.
What?
You talk about corpses too much.
Oh, other people talk about things too much. If you say so, developer self-insert, non-binary entity.
And that's so natural to happen. You fucking need DEI, because you wouldn't have jobs if DEI didn't exist to complain about. You wouldn't be making money on YouTube if DEI didn't exist. So you're really the ones that need it. Unless your game has only white dudes, if you have a woman, she better be fucking hot.
Yeah.
You know, get an ugly woman out of my game. That lady better be super smoking hot.
Yep.
That's the way they think, right? Back in the day, game development studios were primarily white dudes. And they didn't really think about diversity. And that's one thing, right? It was a lot rarer to find non-white dudes in game development. And as that changes, and as college and learning and all that stuff kind of becomes more ubiquitous and more available for everybody, more and more people from different walks of life want to get into game development.
Yeah.
And then what happens then?
They're making the characters the people that they know, the things that they see.
And it's
just like the white people do.
Just like you put yourself into stories. You put yourself into stories.
You put yourself into stories.
In so virtue signally a time, the irony of me listening to them get on stage and drone on and on about the new technology when we all know that the woke hand forces restraint in crafting someone everything but attractive. Hundreds of millions of dollars. But I'm sure this is the best they can do. It's not that bad. It's no big deal. And it's not hindered by some insecure, fat, ugly bitch screeching about inclusion and representation. That's why they need to put it all over the place so we really understand what they represent. It doesn't need to concord. And your knee-jerks to harmless criticism speaks volumes. Kyle, the energy vampire, goes out of his way to piss off damn near everybody that I meet so that when anything that I do or say gains traction, we know it's organic. In less than a day, Stellar Blade co-op was being activated by modders. A Twitter user named Somnus discovered references to multiplayer in the files, and after a bit of activation, a second Eve popped up, and it enabled split screen. This wasn't even something that Halo Infinite could manage after they promised that they would do that, but breaking promises is what the female activists that they put in control of these motherfucking projects do. Just like Insomniac Games forced you to play Mary Jane, and they forced you to play Miles Morales' deaf girlfriend, because in Brian Intihar's words and vision, you don't need powers to be a hero. Ipso facto, you should play as a boring, ugly woman in a superhero game, and she gonna be there at the end because we can't do it with it if everybody ain't together, and it's all about her. It don't matter if your name is on a box, nigga. You need to kind of just get out of the way. You know what I mean? This is about these black people and these women we trying to put in the motherfucking phone. It's crazy. They know they can't sell that to you, but the switcheroo is what they're all about. I run my mouth on this channel and rack up enemies triggered by the truth. But the attention they crave more than air is matched only by their need to be insulted and humiliated, oppressed. So they're moths to a Kyle flame, and you've seen them in my live streams. I tell them that I'll mute them instead of banning them because I know they'll sit there and wait whatever the allotted time I prescribe is. Remember the non-traversy mainstream games journalists forced around Stellar Blade with this hard R? What a big piece of nothing. Journos passionately needed to suppress Stellar Blade as a game they disagreed with. Why? Because it doesn't push the message. And I can summarize the message and woke in this one image. Is this the best they can do? No. She's like that because of the new normal they need to push. And for once, they isn't exclusively curly sideburns, and everybody knows who it is at this point. Hogwarts was modded instantly when it came out, and I see the same thing happening with Stellar Blade. When there's love for something, when there's fans, when there's passion, things happen. Without this inspiration, this therapeutic thing that people feel is a satisfactory escape, some of the visionary artists, editors, and gamers that can put their ideas into motion via mods are what catalyzed the gaming industry to the next level. And for triggered devs and Nexus site owners with hall monitor energy to think they can get in the way as the obstacles they are of genuine progress, not what you're calling progress. What a problem. Culture, no goddamn pun intended, is enriched by the unapologetic love and passion surrounding the celebration of something as effortlessly amazing as a woman. A thick, jiggly woman. It is a modern sculpture with bits and polygons forming the marble or clay that sculpts a monument that can be appreciated and appreciate through time. But y'all got statue envy these days. Y'all fucking with a statue. For God's sake. Do the men in 50 Shades of Grey, I think V was saying this, do the men in Twilight need to be ugly? No, they can be a heartthrob. They don't love their K-pop boys because they're fat and ugly, and we would never seek to force that into what they're into because we're not so insecure or desperate for people to see us because we need to be seen and be visible. But this specific group of entities pushing for exclusively this in gaming, but only for the women, are the same wanting to hijab Cortana, wanting Lara Croft and Joanna Dark to look more like a man. Barf is their idea of design, and as they realize how powerless they are to stop progress, the inevitable will consume them. They're lashing out against whomever they can reach with the dirt-crusted nails on their gnarled fingers. Beta testers, I love and appreciate you. I can't thank you enough, patrons and sponsors, from the bottom of my heart. Every now and then I think of some of the declassified documents going into how they needed to psychologically torment some people because it couldn't just stop until they got a reaction out of somebody. But is the reaction what they're going to be looking for as they kick the beehive that is autistic gamers? Some of these people you should never want to meet the gaze of, but boy, have they managed our attention. I love you, and I'll see you soon. Maybe even tomorrow if you join me for the show. Bye!
Oh my god.
But in the shadows, the talentless stalker, he found himself a target.
He said, I'm putting together a game studio.